Leroy Brown beats on the track.
Spring is upon us, ladies and gentlemen, and I am very excited for college football to get up and running. Now, when we last talked on, I think it was either Friday or Saturday. No, it was Sunday that we last talked, I believe. We talked about basically how spring games, all of the canceling and stuff, is not going to affect the tampering. It just is not. And if you don't like that, then you're just going to have to get over it, guys, because this is the new reality in college football. Welcome to a very special, crazy as it sounds, midday show. Guys, this is one of the rare times we do a midday show. But guys, again, thank you for joining in. I am your host, as always, Lucas Hill. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure that you give us a like, share the video with your friends. Make sure you subscribe and turn on that bell notification so that you are notified every time we go live. We are live fairly daily. I want to try and get back into a groove with my live shows, start going on a weekly basis. Guys, 2 weeks away from the UFL season beginning, 10 days now, the final countdown before we are in Houston, Texas for Friday Night Lights for the opening game of the UFL season. Guys, this is a very, very interesting time that we are in college football. Is that because of the rules change, because of everything that's going on right now in the sport of college football, because of what we have, and everybody worrying about tampering and all of the other BS that we have going on in college football, with all of the fear that has plagued on coaches, specifically those that have been speaking out about this, about Matt Rule, with Jim Mora Jr. putting out a statement about it. But guys, if you remember when we last talked, we talked about Dabo Swinney coming out and talking about how tampering is not going to affect anything. And it won't. Look, canceling spring games is not going to stop the tampering. You think that they're worried about a game that look, we all know social media is a big thing now. Spring highlights are being posted regularly. Even in practice, the media, you do realize there is an open door for many coaches around college football to just pull up YouTube and look up so-and-so spring. You can evaluate a player there, and you can try and go get them. There's no rules preventing tampering. And guess what? If you don't like it, so be it. If you want to really find a solution for this so-called tampering, have closed practices. Only let the media in for post-practice availability, only with the head coach and some coaching staff. So all this thing about tampering and all of the BS that we have around college football at the moment is really ridiculous to me. And it just doesn't seem to make sense that this is an issue. But hey, I'm ignorant, but here's the thing. Get over it. That is the world of college football that you have right now. Nothing's changing. So what are we going to call the NFL whenever a guy requests for a trade? Is that tampering? When you see the on-field success and what a team is doing in the NFL and you see a different offense or a different defense that they would like to be in and contend for championships, or the money's lucrative there, you look at their cap space and you look at what they have and say, man, if I get traded there, maybe I'll get signed to a new deal or free agency. So, guys, that is the reality. That's the reality. Whether you like it or not, guys. And unless there is change in the world of college football, tampering is still going to go on, whether you like it or not. But that's the reality that we live in today in the business that is college football. Guys, I already mentioned the YouTube crowd. If you're watching us on Instagram, make sure that you give us a follow at Lucas_Hill_17. If you're watching us on our flagship station X, make sure that you leave us a follow. Like this post as well as repost it to all of your followers as well. Let them know, hey, Inside the Huddle is live. So I am really, 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 I wouldn't say ticked, but I am kind of frustrated about spring games getting canceled because of the fear of tampering. Well, then why did Deion Sanders come out, which is, by the way, our first topic of discussion? Why did Deion Sanders come out the other day and talk about this? Why did he talk about how he wants to have another team come out and do spring practice? Now, here's the thing. You can do what Colorado did last year and have a insurance policy that you can bring in for all of your top tier athletes and say, okay, well, we're going to do this instead of taking a risk there. But regardless, guys, this is what we have right now. So this is what Deion kept saying about the spring game possibility and how he wants to play another team. Take a listen.
Spring game will be televised. ESPN2 will broadcast spring game on the 19th. We got to sell this thing out and pack this thing because
Look, Deion has been breaking college football ever since he was a college coach at Jackson State. He has transformed the game with recruiting HBCUs, with regards to the status quo in college football, the fashion, the moxie, the aura that college football has, especially at CU, which is the staple of it at this moment.
the way the trend is going, you never know if this is going to be the last spring game. I don't believe in that. I don't really want to condone that. I would like to play the spring. Actually, I like to play against another team in the spring. That's what I'm trying to do right now, to have it competitive. Playing against your own guys kind of get monotonous, and you really can't tell the level of your guys because, you know, it's the same old, same old. Everybody kind of know each other towards the end. I would like to style it like the pros. I would like to practice against someone for a few days, then you have the spring game. And I think the public will be satisfied with that tremendously.
Hell
It's a
yeah.
tremendous idea. Yeah, I've told those personnel who should understand that it's a tremendous idea. Spring game.
So here's my thing on that. I'm all in for it. Joint practices for a couple weeks. We have that at the high school level. We have that at the pro level. What is wrong with having that at the college level? Is it that big of a deal to have joint practices? I understand travel is an issue because of the budget. Guys, we're in the NIL era. Surely businesses are willing to work with you. FCS programs, I would not be surprised if they start doing that. I think you start off at that level. I think JUCO programs are doing it right now, believe it or not. Especially in California, the JUCOs in Cali are having joint, I think they have 2 or 3 days of joint practices, and then they scrimmage each other, which I think is really interesting. And it's just an idea that I think would really travel well in college football. And I think it would work really well. So, with that being said, guys, I am all in for this. And so I talked about all of that. And look, after Deion said that, Fran Brown, who I think is probably the best up-and-coming coach in college football at Syracuse, the man found one of the oldest pics of me. Hey, it was the only one that I could find. You never ever even sent me a picture of you from that was most recent. My bad. I like that one better anyway. But no, guys, this is what you have right now. And Fran Brown came out a couple days ago and said, at Deion Sanders, we will come to Boulder for 3 days. Perfect. I think that would sell really well. Number one, TV revenue would be incredible. Number two, you get exposure from both teams. By the way, both social medias will be through the freaking roof with that. These are two of the realest coaches in college football at this moment in time. And I love Fran Brown. Fran Brown is a guy I would coach for, or I would play for. Guys, I've been high on Fran Brown ever since the middle of November whenever I was first introduced to him. Former Kirby Smart protege, was on the staff for a while with Georgia. Guys, Fran Brown is the real deal as a head coach. And he's going to take Syracuse to new heights. I would expect him to be a future SEC head coach in the next few years because of what he has. You looked at that Pitt game last year. Guys, Kyle McCord had 4 or 5 interceptions that first half. He goes to the sideline. Fran Brown grabs him by the helmet, looks at him and says, "You're our guy. We're not taking you out of this game. You're the guy that we love." Guys, we are all in with Fran Brown. Fran Brown is arguably the best coach in the ACC, in my opinion. And yes, I think he's better than Dabo. As good as Dabo was, I think this year he elevated above Dabo in many different ways. And I think Fran Brown's going to continue to do that. So I love Fran Brown at the end of the day. Here's a guy that won 10 games his first ever season. Guys, you just don't do that at Syracuse very often. For a program that is supposed to be a basketball school. And what they did this year was incredible. 3 top 25 wins, 1 top 10 win, by the way. Guys, Fran Brown is the real deal. I would not be surprised if Syracuse goes into next year. I'm not saying they're going to have the same success. Guess what? You got a rebound here. You just lost arguably the greatest quarterback that Syracuse has had since Donovan McNabb came in. You know, I mean, it's not easy having a guy like that. You brought in Justin Ross Simmons, who did some things that were great. Jackson Meeks did some great things this past year. Fadil Diggs, who I think is the top 50 prospect in this year's NFL draft class, saw him at the Senior Bowl. Or no, not at the Senior Bowl, but at the East-West Shrine Bowl. Did some film breakdown of him. Incredible athlete. But guys, look, 2025 is going to be a rough year for Syracuse, but I think in this upcoming season, if you get a joint practice with Syracuse and Colorado, I think that easily 4 or 5 million people are tuning into that game. I would not be surprised. I don't care that it's on ESPN2. I would watch it. I don't care that it's a spring game. I want to see those two play. I really am excited for what that game is going to look like. And if it does happen, I guarantee you, we're covering that game. I will go up to see you right now. I got to go talk to my boy Philip Dukes and see if he can hook me up with some press passes out to Colorado. So, all right. Gonna take a quick break real fast, guys. Hey, thank you to our good friends over at vocalbreaks.com for sponsoring every single live show. Vocalbreaks.com, the #1 music producing site for all of your best needs with the best and latest AI technology.
Are you a music producer, DJ, or just someone who loves to remix tracks? Well, say goodbye to messy, low-quality track separations and hello to vocalbreaks.com, the most powerful AI-driven music editing tool on the market. Unlike other separation tools, Vocal Breaks harnesses the most advanced AI model available, delivering crystal clear vocals, pristine instrumentals, and an unmatched precision, all online with no software required. You can extract vocals or instrumentals with studio quality accuracy. It's perfect for remixes, mashups, karaoke, and music production, and for a faster, cleaner, and more reliable than any other service. So if you want the best, don't settle for less. Go on over to vocalbreaks.com and use code LucasHill10 now and experience the full future of AI-powered music editing. That's vocalbreaks.com using code LucasHill10.
All right, want to give a quick shout out in the chat right now to our good friends at Roughnecks Nation. We will see you guys out in H-Town in 10 days. Guys, really excited to head on out to Houston, like I mentioned at the top of the hour. Really excited to get back out to Houston and just talk to some of our good friends up there. Really, really stoked to be back out there as usual, guys. Always a pleasure to talk with some of our good buddies and some of our good friends that we've known for a while there. All right. So as we continue, guys, yes, sir, we'll be there week 1. Hopefully see you there. Yes, sir. Cannot wait for that one. All right. Quality over quantity. Is it necessary in college football? And to me, it is. But when you look at programs like Arkansas and when you look at Mississippi State, let's kind of evaluate them a little bit. Because it is very important that we talk about them. And why do I bring that up? Well, I saw a recent post on Instagram from our good friends at 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge talking about the most transfers that were brought in this past season from the SEC. Arkansas and Mississippi State were at the top of the list. So let's kind of break down who they have. And let me just tell you what this means for both teams. So let's start off with Arkansas. Now, 2025 is an interesting year for Arkansas because you're going to be in a rebuild type of year. Now, who is Arkansas losing? Well, the defense is going to take arguably the biggest hit. You're going to lose 2 potential first-round picks off the edge in Landon Jackson. And I think there's another guy there that had a really, really big year and I thought was really impressive at the D tackle position. But regardless, it's a big year. Travis Williams' defense, they'll have moments where they'll look like they are the best defense in all of college football. They'll dominate games. Texas A&M dominated majority of that game but their offense could never get consistent. Tennessee, you held Nico Iamaleava and that receiving group to 14 points. And then you'll just fall flat. You'll give up 63 to Ole Miss. And then you'll get into double overtime and give up 39 to an Oklahoma State offense that was god awful last year. That was 0-9 in Big 12 play. That got shut down the rest of the year. So what are really expectations for Arkansas going into 2025? Well, you bring back Taylon Green. That's the big thing. You bring back a guy that you have a lot of trust in. So that's one thing. You lost Jaquindon Jackson, who's going to be in the draft. To me, Jaquindon Jackson was a big reason why you were really good at times throughout the year. Why you really showed out a lot throughout the season. Jaquindon Jackson was one of the most underrated backs in all of college football, in my own opinion. Eric Gregory, that's who I'm thinking of, by the way. Eric Gregory had a pretty good year last year with the Razorbacks. But I think the offensive side of the ball really took a big hit because of that. You're losing your number one receiver in Andrew Armstrong, that I thought was one of the most underrated and underappreciated wide receivers in all of the SEC. The guy that had a unbelievable season. Ran a 4.5 40, 37.5-inch vert, 11 reps on the bench press, which is not the best. 10-foot 4-inch broad jump. But, guys, again, I mean, this was impressive from what we got to see. But you look at the portal, and you saw you lost a bulk of your offensive line. So what do you bring in? Well, what a way to bring in one of the best receivers from the portal and bring in Courtney Crutchfield from Missouri. Top 15 receiver coming out of high school, was from the state of Arkansas. I think it's a big commit. I think it's a big-time guy that you're getting. Was a top 50 receiver. Reminded a lot of people of CeeDee Lamb, which I think is really impressive. So, Crutchfield is a guy that I think can get up and can put up some jaw-dropping performances. I think he can be as good, if not better, than a guy like Andrew Armstrong. I think he can fill those shoes in very well. So that's the biggest question there. Look, like I mentioned, you're replacing your top 8 pass catchers from a year ago. You're losing Armstrong. You're losing Isaac Tesla, Isaiah Satenga, Tyrone Broden. You lose Luke Haz. You lose Desmond James. So, what are you going to look at? I think this is an interesting class. When we talked about Courtney Crutchfield, you brought in Cam Shanks, who long receiver, could probably play that slot. Omega Blake, who had a pretty good year at Charlotte. Raylan Sharp and Ismail Sissi. I've said this a lot. These are not sexy names, but it's names that can eventually get out there and make big plays. They can eventually do some things that people are not expecting them to do. When you look at where the tight end position is, how do you replace Luke Haz? Well, you got another SEC star in Jaden Platt, who I think is an underrated tight end. And by the way, guys, Jaden Platt, very smart individual. I think he follows me on X too. I could be wrong, though. But anyways, guys, Jaden Platt is a really interesting prospect to me. Number 4 transfer in the portal, by the way. But guys, yeah, Jaden Platt follows me, which I'm kind of I thought was really interesting. You think I'm joking, guys? Jaden Platt follows me, bro. Like, that's impressive. But I think this is from like a year ago. Nah, he's still on there. He's the one that followed me, bro. Like, that's crazy. Jaden Platt. What do you know? But anyways, guys, Jaden Platt is a big tight end. I think he's a really, really strong prospect. 6'5", 235. Platt's a guy that possesses big hands, big, lengthy guy. I think he's a strong run blocker. I think he can really get up to that second level. You brought in Kavion Broussard, who I played against at Zachary. I think he can be a really fun prospect to look forward to. But looking at what you have, is it going to help you in the long run? We don't know yet. But I will say, from what Sam Pittman said, he talked about Rohan Jones, who was, I think, one of the tight ends. Yeah, he's been one of the tight ends. They've got 3 in this place. So Rohan is really super athletic, Pittman said. I mean, he can fly. Jaden Platt, great addition along with Jeremiah Beck. We're deeper than we were. I think we can get into 12 and be comfortable, and I think they can get into 13. So it's been really good for Arkansas going into spring practice and seeing the type of athletes that they have. But obviously, this is a big season for Sam Pittman and company, and here's why. You're going into a year where you're coming off of a Liberty Bowl win. That's great. It's an excellent season for what your expectations were at the beginning of the year. Many people thought that it was going to be Sam Pittman's final year. Look, Bobby Petrino made a big impact on that offense. I thought that this was one of the most underrated offenses in all of college football. The problem was that you couldn't generate much consistency. Look, that's just the bottom line at the end of the day. You look good in different games. You look great against Oklahoma State, but your defense lets you down at the end. You got into a shootout with UAB when you really shouldn't have. You played against Texas A&M, could have won that game. Offense couldn't really generate much in the final quarter of play. You had a lead too, by the way. LSU couldn't finish the game. Just got absolutely decimated in the second half. Ole Miss got decimated all around. Texas, you hung around for a little bit, couldn't finish the job. Missouri just couldn't finish, bro. That's 2 or 3 games that could have made a difference for Arkansas from a 7-6 season and a 10-win season. Maybe even a better bowl game, too, than going to the Liberty Bowl. And look, I'm not shooting on how they performed against Texas Tech. I thought it was a really good performance. But we'll see, man. I mean, we don't know going into year number 2 of the Petrino era. I think this is going to be an interesting one. Recruiting wise, I thought it was really good when we talked about Jacaden Ferguson, who could make an impact. Kevin Cotis, I don't know if he's going to start off automatically. Matt Nehemiah Lava, how long is he going to be in the program? That's my only concern, is that the younger brother of Nico, is he going to be able to stay around? Tavion Wallace, to me, is going to be a guy that's going to play automatically. I wouldn't be surprised if he will be a plug-and-play guy. I think he may be a freshman all-SEC at the end of the day. Definitely wouldn't surprise me there. You had a lot of guys that entered the portal. I mean, a lot of guys. I think it kind of hurt when Malachi Singleton hit the portal, because you took away depth in there, but we'll just have to see with what they bring. But the most intriguing prospect to me is Cam Shanks. First team All-American last year. Dude, he's a speedster at the slot. Speed is the name of his game, and I think it's going to benefit him greatly. Looking at the schedule for Arkansas. And by the way, we'll have Ty Richardson to really do a deep breakdown of them very soon. Alabama A&M, Arkansas State, the first two games, you should win both of those. At Ole Miss, it's going to be an interesting one. I don't think that Ole Miss is going to put up 60-plus on them like they did last year. There's no way. Not with what they lost. I understand you bring back Jordan Watkins, the same guy that popped off against this same Arkansas team. But I think this is going to be a much more polished Arkansas defense. I understand that you're losing a lot. Believe me, I do. But I don't think it's going to get to the point where you're giving up 60-plus. At Memphis, that could go up in the air for that one. I think you'll be 3-1 by the time you get to Notre Dame. And I think when Notre Dame comes to town, if you can hang around, it wouldn't surprise me with a young quarterback. If you put pressure on them, you might be able to steal one, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think they fall to 3-2. You're 3-3 going after Tennessee. I don't see them coming out of Neyland with a win. It's not happening. Texas A&M, Auburn, and Mississippi State. I don't know, man. It's tight. All three are at home. Arkansas has not beaten Texas A&M, I think, since 22. But I'm not really sure. Yeah. They've only beaten Texas A&M in the past 15, ever since 2012. You have beaten Texas A&M only once, and that was in 2021. You have lost the last three. So, realistically, what are expectations for that one? That to me is a toss-up game, though. I think it's an intriguing game. I know that Arkansas has had moments to win at the end of the game, but just could not pull it out. I mean, ever since Texas A&M came into the SEC, they've lost to Arkansas once. That's it. So I don't know, man. It's one of those games that you can never really tell if Arkansas is going to be there or not. But you just don't know. But after that one, Auburn and Mississippi State, I do think you win that game. You break off of you get to 4-4. You get to 5-4 after Mississippi State. LSU, Texas, Missouri, you have to win. You have to at least go 1-2 to make a bowl game. But even then, I don't think that Sam Pittman's going to be there after 2025. People love Sam Pittman. No, I believe me, I get that. But I don't think this is the year that Sam Pittman stays. I just don't see it. Sam Pittman is one of those guys that is great when it comes to recruiting. But if we're being honest, guys, he's not around very much longer. As good as Pittman is, look, dude. Sam Pittman is a great guy. That's why people love him. But the thing about Pittman is this. He just can't win in close games. He just can't. And I don't think it's going to continue in 2025. And so if I'm Arkansas, I'm looking for a new head coach at this point in time. All right. Let's talk about Mississippi State. Because this is a very, very interesting season. 2025 is going to be an interesting one. You brought in the number 8 quarterback in the nation, Kamario Taylor, which I thought was a really, really big win if you were Mississippi State? Because it's been a while since they've gotten a top 10 quarterback, even in this draft class. And looking at the top three with Tavian St. Clair, Keelan Russell, and Bryce Underwood, I understand that Kamario Taylor is not head over heels above any of these guys. Believe me, I know. I'm not worried about that, though. I don't think he's going to start. I think it'd be smart if he took a red shirt, just knowing that you bring back Blake Shapen, as well as bringing back a guy like from the portal that I thought was a pretty decent get, and Luke Crummenhook. Luke Crummenhook, who started a couple games at Florida State, possesses good talent, but I don't think at the end of the day he's going to do much. If he and Shapen are going to be battling for the starting job, and I think that's pretty much it. But don't be surprised if Kamario Taylor ends up being kind of like what Mike Van Buren was last year. But anyways, let's talk about the rest of the portal class that Mississippi State is bringing in. You brought in Anthony Evans, top 150 prospect at the receiver position, top 300 player in the nation coming out of high school. Evans didn't do a whole lot. Just didn't get a whole lot of plays. 9 receptions, 88 yards in 2024. He had 4 for 35 in 2023. But Evans is a guy that really is interesting. Was a track and field guy, ran a 10.99 100-meter dash. So I think Evans is a guy that can really bring a lot of speed. I think he could be really, really interesting as a prospect. Not only that, you brought in Aiden Williams along with Marcus Allen from Eastern Michigan. So you brought in 2 SEC receivers that were going to fit in pretty well in the Jeff Levy system. My thing is, what are you going to use him as? That's my only real knock I have on Jeff Levy and company. So our good friend Cooper Patenga had him as a day 3 pick back in high school. Is he going to possess that same level of talent that you saw out of high school? I don't know, man. It's a hit or miss at this point when it comes to the transfer portal. So you definitely got to take that into consideration. But overall, I think the biggest victory that Mississippi State got this year was getting Fluff Blothwell, who I thought was the number 1 back in the portal, especially coming from South Alabama. My co-host, as you all know, Scout is a South guy. He's around South Alabama quite a bit. So he has seen what Fluff Blothwell is bringing to the table. So here's my thing. Is it going to be worth it at the end of the day for Mississippi State to bring in all these prospects and then translate to on-field success? I don't know. It's a concerning thing, if I'm being real. Because, like I mentioned, quality over quantity is very, very real, whether you like it or not. But again, maybe bringing in this many recruits from the portal is going to benefit teams to add depth in the long run. But it's another big year for Mississippi State. So will it help them? I don't know. But I will say this. It was a massive year in the portal for Jeff Lebby and company. You better give them quality over that. So that's my only real knock. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Guys, that's going to wrap it up for us here inside the huddle. Y'all have a great day. We'll see y'all tomorrow.